Hi, I'm Olivia. I'm an interior designer and I'm here to help you make smart design choices when you're renovating. And today I'm at Corston to give you some tips on how to refresh your home for spring. Wall lights are not old-fashioned. There are so many locations for wall lights, and I think you've got to work out what the purpose of that wall light is. Is it to add overall ambient lighting that will add to the task lighting effectively in your home? So is it helping you to add light onto a work surface, for example, in a kitchen? Or is it in a bedroom where you could have it beside the headboard as a reading light? Or is it simply an added layer of lighting for interest in, say, a living room? And the second part is on scale. So you need to really consider the scale of that light in conjunction with the rest of your space, because it is going on the wall. You need to think about, is it proportionate with everything else that's going on? Do you have artwork? And therefore you might want a picture light instead of a typical sconce. And what is its purpose? So look at the proportions, look at the scale, and look at its purpose. When it comes to combining your hardware, I think there are a couple of things to think about. The first thing I would say is just don't stress too much about it. I think you've got to go with what fits for your home and your personality. The one thing I would say is stick to the same style of finish. So whether that be bronze, antique brass, nickel, keep within that family, but you can absolutely change up the actual shape and style of the piece themselves, whether that be knobs, bars, cups, etc. And that's no problem at all. Downlight locations are tricky, and there isn't an exact science. If you are renovating, you will probably find your electrician would like to put them everywhere. And there is a place for them, but I think you need to be really careful where you put them. And I would often suggest that you actually use spotlights instead. So recessed downlights can be used very often in a kitchen and a bathroom setting. I would like them to be gone from bathrooms. There are far more decorative lights that we can use in that setting. But in kitchens, you may need them to light your work surface and to light the inside of some of your units if you don't have integrated lighting. But I'm not going to give you an exact location because it will depend case by case. The question on downlights is a tricky one, and there isn't an exact science. So in terms of where they need to go, you need to look at your floor plan, but not just the footprint of that room or your home. You also need to look at the ceiling heights, because that is the volume of space effectively you're trying to light. So I want you to look at what other lighting you have in your space. Do you have wall lights? Do you have pendants? Do you have some integrated lighting, particularly if we're thinking about kitchens and bathrooms? And then look at where the dead spots might be and infill with the downlights rather than just peppering them across the space and covering it off, because otherwise you can end up with a bit of a runway and you really don't want to do that. So when it comes to layering the lighting in your home, I want you to think about the three key areas. So you've got overhead lighting, wall lighting, and then the lower level lighting. So with the overhead, you're looking at things like pendants, spots, downlights. Then on the mid-level, obviously we've got wall lights, sconces, that whole world. It could be some cabinetry lighting, it could be integrated lighting. And then lower level, we've got things like lamps and the more decorative lower lighting. And if you think about those three layers, then you'll make sure that you cover yourself for the task-based lighting as well as more ambient and atmospheric lighting. When it comes to switches and sockets, you can either make them a feature or you can make them blend in, and it really depends on the environment. So if I had a room with a really bold wallpaper or a really bold colour, I might use a paintable or a clear switch panel or sockets just to help that wallpaper stand out. Whereas in some other simpler, more pared back schemes, I probably would use a lovely brass switch panel or sockets to create a feature, because they're so beautiful in their own right. Why wouldn't you want to make a feature of them? Thanks for having me, guys. See you next time.